Hello, everyone, and welcome to Cookies Enabled. I am Will, your host. Next to me here, this way, sorry, is Andrew, and my editor and also host of the show here. And we are bringing you the best and brightest news. We're at a different time this month, and probably for the rest of the year, which we were just finding out. This is our 26th episode, everybody, which is kind of a big deal because that means this is literally the halfway through the year episode, which is kind of cool. It's a big deal for Cookies Enabled. This is our first year. Thank you to all 60 subscribers. I very much appreciate that. And definitely keep spreading the word. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog. I'm sure they'll tell their other dog friends. And we'll go from there. But anyway, let's jump right into the news. We got quite a bit to cover today. And not a lot of time. That's fine. So, here we go. Space news. As always.
Space news.
Space news.
We finally have a little bit of space news this week.
Some interesting space news.
Well, it's I think we're getting closer to the orbital launch from SpaceX.
Yes.
I've actually been watching, just about finished watching through the 3-part tour of Starbase from
Cool.
my favorite YouTube channels. Shout out to Everyday Astronaut. If you haven't watched his stuff, go and check it out.
Very good. Yes.
Wonderful. He asks all the right questions.
Mm-hmm.
He did an entire tour, and this was a few weeks ago, so some of his info was a little out of date. They had not yet stacked SN20 with Booster 4. We're getting there. So
We are getting there.
Well, they stacked it. It was more of like a test.
Right.
And then they took it back down because they had to install all of the engines, make
Right.
sure it's set. But now, Booster number BN20 there
Yep.
is on its way. I'm sorry, Booster number 4.
Yes, Booster 4, sorry.
That is on its way to the launch pad, finally, which means it's going to be getting ready for its predator tests, for its static fire.
Absolutely.
Stack SN20 out once again, and then probably within a few weeks we're going to see it launch. So we're getting closer.
So excited.
Every day hearing something new is wonderful. So I've been really excited to keep following this. I know you guys are waiting for a big launch.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting there. We're getting closer. It takes time. That's okay. A little thing I noticed last night when I was watching this, really cool. Again, Everyday Astronaut.
Right.
He's been following SpaceX for years. He's a big enough YouTube channel that he was invited for a tour by Elon Musk.
Right.
So
right.
it's a lot of insider views that most people never would. One of his friends developed a map that would follow through where everything.
Cool.
And I noticed the entrance into Starbase.
Okay.
He's calling it Stargate.
Stargate. Of course he is. Of course he is.
There's a big sign right on the door that's Stargate. I'm absolutely in love with that.
Come on now.
But I mean, look at the size of that booster there. We're really seeing some progress.
Yeah, definitely small anything going on here. I mean, compared to those little tiny Tonka truck like cars next to it, it's massive. This is a behemoth.
It is.
Now we showed you this a couple weeks ago with it stacked up, and now they're moving everything, getting it ready
They took it
to
down,
actually do it.
they had to install every engine. That
Right.
takes a while.
Yeah.
But now this is the official rollout. This is the technical start of the orbital mission. They get it there, get it ready. We are days, if not weeks at the most, away from an orbital launch.
Right.
And I think we're going to see more. It looks like the FAA is actually building an office in Texas to help them
Wow.
more easily facilitate these launches, because you have Blue Origin,
Right.
you have
Virgin Galactic or
small ones, you have
yeah.
SpaceX,
Yeah.
and they need to be there. They need to be local.
Right.
and have the ability to more quickly pay attention to what's going on. So
Sure.
you need FAA clearance to launch, and if the FAA is states away, it can take time to send
Right.
something to make sure. They're trying to basically get that process going much more quickly, so we can see more launches at
Right.
faster pace, which is what they're all about.
Okay.
So we're getting there. I'm going to have to share the link. I don't know where it is. Everyday Astronaut also was
Right.
following another launch from a different company last week. It almost succeeded. It did end up blowing up.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to have to find that. I can't remember what it was. Again, he seems to have so much influence.
Right.
He always talks, and I think I mentioned it in his other live chats or his live streams. Always want to make sure pointy end up, flamey end down. Mission Control for this launch that he was following actually did a call out for confirm pointy end up, flamey end down. And he was so excited.
Wow.
I mean, it's tongue in cheek, it's fun, but to have that influence is really cool.
Yeah, that's important.
And he deserves it. Maybe, one day we'll be at that point.
Right. Hopefully. Maybe.
He's huge. But we've gotten a lot of information from him. We've been able to see a lot. We're getting closer.
Right.
So SpaceX has got this going on. In October, they're going to be launching the 3rd crew mission to the space station. In April, they will the 4th mission.
Oh, yeah.
This year, there will be the Inspiration for launch. So we've got a lot in the last few months of this year to keep an eye on.
Right.
I'm really excited for what we're going to see. We just got to wait.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But I'm excited. And,
patience is a virtue, especially when it comes to space, when it comes to SpaceX.
Right,
Once
exactly.
it happens, it's going to be epic. We all know that. We've seen it many times. So, yeah, we're getting there.
Right.
We're getting. I think later this year in December too, the Ariane 5 rocket will be finally launching the James Webb Space Telescope.
Yes, there is an official date now.
Hubble.
Yep.
It's finally going up. It's actually right now, probably this minute or within a day or two, en route on a barge to its launch site. So it's going to take a while for the final tests, but we're going to get a new space telescope going there soon. So fingers crossed for that mission.
Exciting. Yes.
Billions of dollars of research, several years.
So many years. I mean, they've been talking about this thing forever, so I can't wait for it to get up into. It better not be a Hubble where like the first 3 months up, it's like broken. So hopefully it doesn't happen. Anyway, staying with space news, I found an article about Mars, and the ability to live on Mars has definitely been an issue, because there's no oxygen, and putting some kind of habitat on Mars, there's a lot more going on there, mainly because of the thin atmosphere that we deal with, and with, mainly we're not used to that here at all. I mean, our skin is adapted over the hundreds of millions of years or whatever to better protect us from the UV rays that we deal with from the sun. But on Mars, there is not as much atmosphere, almost none, compared to what we have here. So not to catch all of these UV, A, B, and C rays that come bursting down, plus all the extra radiation from the sun and other stars. So one of the biggest things that NASA's been dealing with is they do have a program called the ICON program, and this is a picture from their website that kind of shows what they call a hypothetical habitat and what it might look like. So they didn't really explain the materials that would be used, but they did state that it wouldn't be like the movies where they're just, let's go outside, and they throw some suit on and they're like, let's go, and they're running and doing whatever they want outside. You'd have very limited windows to be out on the actual Martian surface. You'd also only be able to go to certain areas, mainly because of radiation. And they have mapped out a large portion of the radiation on the planet to the rovers, as well as our satellites that we have sent out there to scan and do all kinds of awesome missions. So they know a lot about the atmosphere, cloud conditions, weather conditions, and things that all contribute to this. But one thing they did discover with rovers is that there are certain spots on Mars that are better equipped to hold people potentially for a few years without a ton of damage. And that's, they're called buttes. It's spelled B-U-T-E, which is, pretty much butt, essentially. But here's a picture from one of the rovers. And they took this from inside one of these buttes on Mars, and essentially you can see these layers that have built up over the hundreds of millions of years of compression and storms and rain and glaciers and all the different things that Mars has dealt with. And that actually can kind of build a radiation layer that kind of protects you from all these extra rays. So I think what NASA was trying to show in that habitat photo is that there is some above ground stuff, but I think it's actually going to be kind of dug out into the buttes, and you'd actually be mostly either underground or in special, probably heavily insulated equipment to protect you from all these space rays that are beating you up, like the gamma rays, ultraviolet lights, all that stuff that again, we don't deal with here on our lovely planet Earth because of our beautiful ozone that keeps us wonderfully protected. So, and again, they do have an ozone, but it's nothing like that's a third of our atmosphere here or something. So
it's 1/6. I might be thinking
1/6. Even smaller.
It is very thin, unfortunately.
Yeah. So,
it's gonna be tough.
Very tough. Yeah, this is not going to be easy. But at least we have technically out there working on it. I mean, they're not real people, but we got some rovers out there that are definitely looking into this and trying to find better ways to protect humans that will eventually be on the surface of the planet. Guaranteed that we will send people there at some point. NASA's already planned this, so I think SpaceX or other China, I want to say, has also planned a mission to Mars. I don't remember the dates on that one. And they also plan a habitat. I have no idea the plans for that. So I'm not going to talk anything other than that they've set the dates essentially for it. But that's all I know. And this is kind of the same issue they're dealing with moon bases, is that there is no atmosphere on the moon. So there is literally nothing protecting you from all of the rays of the sun. So if you do go and you make a moon base, it's probably going to be on the dark side of the moon, because that's the side that isn't getting blasted with radiation every.
Well, now it does.
I mean, it does when it rotates, but
yeah. Big thing with the moon too, though, is the they call it the lunar soil, the regolith. It's so fine, and it's also all those tiny particles are very sharp, and they can get stuck onto the suits.
Yes.
They noticed that during the Apollo missions, so that could cause some danger to the electronics, to anything else inside the habitats once they go in.
And we know
that's one big issue with the moon. Mars is a lot easier in that aspect, but again, radiation is
it's a key
anywhere. Again, like you said, we have a thicker atmosphere that protects us from a lot. The other planets, the moon, Mars, there's not so much.
Right. There's a few out there. Yeah.
But I think we'll figure it out. We figured out everything else. All it takes is time and money.
Yep.
That's what it is, time and money.
That's exactly what it is. And so, this is definitely a problem that will be solved for sure. But definitely something to keep in mind, especially if you're one of those people that's like, oh my gosh, get me off this planet. I get you. I totally get you. I think that's from the movie, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Get me off this planet. Or everybody's jumping off. So, this is kind of the deal here. If you do want to jump, make sure you got special equipment, because it's not going to be as easy as it sounds. Now, you had some other interesting articles as well. You found one about superconductors, and I will let you take that one away.
Before that.
Sorry.
Well, radiation from the sun.
Let's
see what the sun actually looks like. This was really cool. I found this most detailed photo of the sun's surface.
Yeah, I don't know if I uploaded that, so bear with me here really quick. I know I saved it, so give me a second to upload it.
I have to double check. I can't remember exactly what satellite this came from.
I have a picture of the dish as well, but I did find the picture of the sun, so let me pull that over here. Oh,
this is not from a space telescope. This is from the surface of Earth. The Haleakala volcano in Maui. Yep. There is a telescope there, and they took this photo. Now, this photo of the sun, 18 miles across. It is 18 square miles of the sun's surface.
Wow.
And that's what it looks like. You're basically seeing the bubbling and roiling of all of the matter.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. I was trying to compare it to something, but it kind of looks like a sponge almost. In the way that it has that. Now, we don't have any movement, but I mean, we all know what that kind of fusion reaction is like. It's kind of a boiling out and pulling in all at the same time.
You're seeing a snapshot of all of these little bits just rising, cooling a bit, and sinking back in.
Super cool.
It's weird to think like that's the sun.
Yeah, like, it almost looks like popcorn.
18 miles of the sun.
Yeah, and it looks like there's almost like a tiny dark spot right at the very bottom of the picture. which I find kind of interesting because we always get pictures of like the dark spots and whatever. And right now I don't think there is any, and they come and go. There's a lot of cycles. We're on spinning up of the sun's. I think it's a 7-year cycle. I can't remember. I honestly don't. Something like that. But yeah, it comes, and so I think we're just starting to warm back up, sun-wise, starting to get more activity. So maybe more sunspots. That also can just mean more coronal mass ejections, which they're already stating there can be some global internet outages from our sun. And I did some research on that, but I didn't really find anything super hardcore interesting. So we'll talk about that in other episodes. I'm sure that will come up. But yes, this one was real cool. Love that picture of the sun, by the way. I thought I had the picture of that telescope up here, but apparently I did not. I'm so sorry. So maybe next week I'll show you guys the picture of the telescope. I thought I saved that, but I didn't.
Yeah, we should delve in next week to more into the James Webb and what's going to happen. I'll have to do some.
Yeah, we really haven't talked about that at all.
Again, generation Hubble, it's going to be able to give us so much more data,
right?
See so much further. I'm really excited for this mission. This is something they've been working on for over a decade.
It just improves on its predecessor as well. It's just an improvement in almost every way that you can think of. So this is really cool. I'm excited.
Very
now, superconductors. You found this article about the superconductors. I'll let you take this one away because I don't know. I didn't read this one. I'm sorry. It looked cool, but I didn't have time for it.
Everybody knows what a conductor is. It's obviously something that conducts electricity. Big issue. Things like how even our bodies, electrical wires, as they conduct electricity, you run into something called resistance, where not all of that electrical energy passes through.
Right.
A lot of it is dissipated or can't get through. That's a regular conductor. A superconductor is something that will allow electricity to pass through it without any resistance. Now, we've been using these for a while. We've been using them in everything from nuclear reactors to the Large Hadron Collider at CERN, to MRIs and all of that. But the big issue is a lot of them have to be extremely cold. We're talking almost absolute zero. That takes tons of money, tons of energy, and tons of helium to cool it down to a proper temperature. And helium we have to be careful with because we have a limited supply. Now, we talked about a helium shortage. There sort of is, but they did actually find a few major sources of it, so we're not going to run out for...
It'll be a while.
But the more we use it, the faster it's going to run out. And you can't really generate helium unless it's in a star.
Right.
You can't really make more on Earth, or at least we don't know how to yet. Maybe one day.
I think we'll see. Yeah, we'll figure that out pretty soon.
But they found this right here. This little black bar right there in the center. I want to get the name correct, so let me pull that up. It is. I'm looking. Where is it? Basically, it's a bar made of sulfur, carbon, and hydrogen.
Okay.
Which they call carbonaceous sulfur hydride.
That's a cool name.
So I don't know how they figured out that these elements work together, but they do. But it's composed of that, and it's between basically two diamonds.
Right.
And that's all it is. They call it a diamond vise, what it does is it's pushing extreme pressure. I think they said like 3 million times our normal atmospheric pressure.
Whoa.
On that.
Wow.
And the pressure, something with the pressure and that chemical composition allows this material to act as a semiconductor, meaning electricity passing through with barely any resistance or none at room temperature. 60 degrees Fahrenheit instead of negative 200 something. Huge.
Big.
If they can perfect this, if they can find a way to produce this in a way that will work for all of our needs and all of our machines, you immediately wipe out tons of the energy and helium and electricity required for all of these superconducting applications.
Right. Huh.
And So that's huge. It's
Yeah.
the fact that it also allows for faster computers because you don't have
Right.
the resistance.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
Issues into quantum computing. This could. It's an
Hopefully.
extremely big breakthrough. It's again in its infancy.
Yeah.
It's a proof of concept,
Right.
but compared to say the fusion generators that we talked about,
Yeah, we've talked a
which
lot of
are
those.
this is something that I think could be implemented within a few years in some places,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and drastically cut down our necessity of certain elements in energy.
Right. Absolutely. I agree completely.
Time saving, money saving, and it's just cool.
It is. It's super cool. I love it. I mean, this is great. It's really. It's. I mean, I've never seen a diamond anvil or vice like this before, which is really intriguing to see, especially at like a micro scale like that. But yeah, this is huge because this could really change. I mean, we already have really fast small technology, but we are starting to hit new walls in Moore's law and a few other quantum mechanics and other fun, physics out there as well. But this could be an answer to a lot of problems that we've been running into, especially with quantum computers. So this is huge. This is a really big breakthrough. I definitely want to do some more research on this, and maybe we'll put together a full episode if I can find enough information and whatnot. Because it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool stuff.
Well, now that they know that this is possible, their next step, basically, from what I read, the next step is to find a way to keep it going at lower pressures.
Right, because that's key. Yep.
Millions of times atmospheric pressure, they can drop it down.
Right.
Like if you have a way to have a superconductor at room temperature under maybe as much pressure as a standard vice can give, that would completely revolutionize electronics.
Yeah.
All of
this. This could be big.
What we're looking for.
Yeah.
So cool. We'll see what happens. But again, you're probably not hear much about it because it kind of makes for boring news on ABC or something like that.
Yeah, they don't really want to talk about it.
Once it becomes widely known and it's making a difference in all of these industries, then you're really going to start hearing about it.
Yeah. But it's super cool. All of those posted in our source links. No, they're not on there right now, but again, check after we go live, and I will go back and add those links. So thank you, Andrew. That was really cool. I did have should have brought this up when we were talking about our space stuff, because this is more space oriented, but it's kind of like we were talking before. It's ground-based science because they did all of this research on Earth. They're not out in space doing this research, but it is about space. Now, there was a mysterious radio wave you may have heard on CNBC or MSNBC or CNN, because they all are reporting about this, but I don't know if they're talking about it on the actual, like live evening news or whatever. But they found a radio signal somewhere in the middle of our galaxy, our own Milky Way galaxy. And first they just thought, oh, okay, it's just a random like pulsar or star or something, creating or dying or whatever that normally creates a radio wave. The thing is that every time they pointed a telescope at this thing, they couldn't find it, and the telescopes could never seem to triangulate exactly where the sound was coming from. They could get a roundabout idea, but they couldn't figure out exactly, oh, it's that planet right there, or that star, or whatever. It's really shady. So that found it was in the Australian Square Kilometer Array Pathfinder, which is what I'm showing on screen right now. Extremely sensitive radio telescopes. So they're not like using cameras. We're not using anything like that. This is just using like a really intense microphone, essentially, beaming it right out into space, and we're listening for radio signals. So they found it first, and it was a highly polarized variable radio source located near the galactic center with no clear multi-wavelength counterpart, which means they couldn't exactly figure out where the heck it was coming from, but the satellites were definitely picking it up. So between April 2019 and August 2020, this was found 13 more times by 3 more observatories around the world. So not just Australia. We had one in South Africa called the Mercat radio telescope, as well as another one in Australia called the Australia Telescope Compact Array, ATACA, and I'll show you both of those here as well. So the first one here is ASCAP, which is Australia. Second one is also Australia. It looks a little bit more like the first, but these are deeper dishes, and there's more of them. So I'm supposed to try to get a better triangulation. Again, anomalous reading, computers throwing off all kinds of weird sources, but nothing's pointing to the same spot, so that's also confusing. And same thing happened with these awesome South African telescopes that are these do use like a mirrored effect. As you can see, they can take pictures of parts of space and then magnify them using those backboard arrays, essentially. So again, just trying to find the source better, and they still weren't able to find it. So if you guys want to do some searching, you could probably help them out here. If you got a radio telescope lying around, you want to point towards the center of the galaxy and try to pinpoint where this thing is, you might be the first to discover it, because no one else has been able to. So just thought I'd bring that to your guys' attention.
Honestly, that's the thing you can do to help any of these researchers out, and it's still going. Decades later, it's been around. The SETI project, Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. You can download an app or program, as we used to call
like a screensaver.
It was called SETI at Home, and it uses distributed computing. Every signal that comes in from any radio telescope goes basically into a database. And if your computer, and this can run in the background of your computer.
Yeah, I actually used it at one point.
Can handle it. I guarantee it, because my Pentium 3 500 megahertz could handle it back in 2002.
Yeah, my single core Athlon had no problem with it either.
Yeah, they would just they send you a packet of a radio signal, and your computer in the background would compare it to known radio signals.
Yeah.
And the data back. That's all it was. And it made for a really cool screensaver.
It was really cool, actually. It would show you the decompression rate. It was awesome. It was really awesome science.
And today, I mean, everybody's home computer these days, a gaming mean, if you're not playing a game, that can do through a lot. And I mean, the chances of you finding that one signal are so tiny. But imagine if you where all of a sudden you just get a notification, unknown signal. I'd probably lose my mind.
I would too. That's so cool. So yeah, just so you know, there is a lot of our universe we don't understand still. And they know it's not a pulsar or any, thing that they currently can generate these kinds of, waves is not found in that area of the galaxy. So they are very confused as to where this is coming from. And since the satellites and our dishes cannot seem to pinpoint it, this is going to be a mystery for a while. So, and maybe until we get the Kepler satellite up there, because they might be able to figure out what's going on out there.
Yeah,
I
mean, I'm sure they're going to figure it out. I think it most likely it's going to be something.
Yeah.
Something like a quasar or pulsar, maybe being affected by the intense gravity near the galaxy's core, the black hole. Yeah. Something. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of data.
Yeah. And that's what I'm excited about.
Go along with it. We're just going to have to wait.
Work in progress, everybody.
We'll put a link down there.
Yes, check out all of those satellites I showed you guys. Yeah.
It's fun. You got a really cool screenshot. I honestly don't know what it looks like these days, but before it was just this cool little grid showing the wavelengths.
That's exactly what it was for me. And you could change it. It was cool.
Like now.
I'll post the link to that as well.
There's many distributed computing screensavers you can do. There's that. Another good one.